Hi folks, HR Funk here with a new CCW, and I posted a photo a week or so ago on the community section of YouTube showing this handgun, and the photo was intentionally not all that great, and it's been amusing watching a lot of you try to guess exactly what it is that I selected, and I'll tell you what this is eventually. But I wanted to save the discussion for this video because I thought it would be fun. Now, you might have noticed over the course of the last year or so, I have been featuring a lot of compact and micro-compact handguns on the channel here, largely because these are the hot new topic in the firearms world. Everyone seems to be interested in them, and since I'm making videos reviewing firearms and I'd like people to actually watch them, I try to review things that are popular as often as I can. I was not doing it so much because I was looking for a new concealed carry firearm for myself. But over the course of the last year, I've looked at the new Canic pistol, I've looked at the one by FN, I even looked at a Glock a while back, I took a look at the MC14T from Gersan, and of course the Masada Slim or the Masada 9S. And as I've been looking at these various handguns, there were certain things about a lot of them that I didn't find tremendously appealing. And it's odd that the one that I ended up selecting, that I'm holding here in my hand, is one that I thought when I was in here doing the shop review that I probably was not going to like. How ironic is that? And what turned out, or what happened, is that when I got to the range and I started to shoot this handgun, the more I shot it, the more I liked it. And I ended up at the end of that evaluation, after completing the video, returning this handgun back to Hot Munitions. But the idea of it kind of lingered in my mind. And the more I thought about it, and the more I thought about some of the other handguns that I was looking at and evaluating, the more I kind of liked this one. And again, the more I thought about the way it shot, the more appealing it seemed to me. So for those of you who haven't already guessed, the handgun that I selected is the IWI Masada 9S, aka the Masada Slim. Now at this point, I have to give my lovely wife some credit because she asked me a few weeks ago what I wanted for my birthday, and I had named a particular handgun that apparently is still not available in this country. So since she couldn't get that one, she ended up going back to Hot Munitions and purchasing the very handgun, this IWI Masada 9S, that I had reviewed in my previous video. They still had it. So this is the same optic that I installed. Everything is still the same as it was when I took it back several weeks ago. And there were a variety of reasons that the Masada Slim was so appealing to me, beginning with the fact that I like IWI as a company. As I mentioned in my initial review of this handgun, they have a very business-like attitude when it comes to designing defensive firearms. There's not a lot of flair, there's not a lot of flash or anything else. This is simply a handgun that is designed to keep you alive when someone is trying to kill you. And I like that aspect. I liked that with my original full-size Masada. This handgun has cycled many, many rounds of ammunition. It has never had a malfunction. It has been reliably accurate, and it's just been a very good handgun. And I expect the 9S to be very similar in both those regards. So far, since I received this pistol for my birthday, I have run probably 150, maybe 200 rounds through it to go along with the ammunition that I cycled through it when I had it for the initial evaluation. I've used a variety of different types of hollow points. I've used factory ball ammunition, and this has eaten every single thing that I have fed it. So the reliability is very much looking like it did with the full-size Masada. Also, with the Masada 9S, the grip is something that allows you to really grasp this handgun. The grip of the Masada Slim is, well, slim. And it feels like I get a good grasp on this handgun, more so than I did with some of those other micro compacts that I was looking at. Partially because the grip is a little bit longer from top to bottom, so I don't have a finger or two hanging off the bottom. That was something I really didn't care for with some of the smaller handguns that I was looking at. And because of that extra length to the grip, the pistol seems to be a little bit more controllable, and it feels a little more soft shooting than some of those other handguns. Now, one of the criticisms that's been leveled against the so-called compact or micro-compact handguns that have come out in the last few years is that the recoil is snappy. I don't know exactly what that means. When I shoot a handgun, it recoils. I know that going into it, and I don't think a whole lot about it. But apparently for some people, shooting some of these very small handguns is very unpleasant. For me, I don't notice it that much. I come up, I line up the sights, I squeeze the trigger, and the handgun recoils. But the controllability of the 9S does seem to be a little bit more so than I was getting with some of those other handguns. If you watch some of my other reviews, you would see that periodically I would throw a shot, and I haven't really experienced that so much with the 9S. Now, some of that might be a credit to the optic that I have on here, but if you saw my initial evaluation, I fired quite a number of rounds without the optic, and then I installed it and fired the pistol again with the optic installed. And both ways it shot very, very well. I think accuracy-wise, I shot a little better with the iron sights, but at this point, I think I'm shooting about as well with the optic as I get more and more used to this particular red dot sight. And this is a mechanic sight, and part of what I like about it is it mounts directly to the slide. When IWI designed this handgun, they did not design it with any sort of mounting plates or adapters or anything like that. The optic mounts directly to the slide, so that keeps the dot very low, and it allows a good co-witness with the iron sights. The net result of all that is, for somebody like me who has spent a lifetime shooting iron sights, when I bring the pistol up, since I'm so used to aligning the sights and I look through the optic, the dot usually is there. I don't have nearly as much trouble losing this dot as I do with other types of sights, which is why, even though this is only, I think, a 3 MOA dot, I don't mind it. I don't feel the need to go to a circle dot reticle like I have on my full-size Masada with the TD3C sight from Hilux. And I don't feel like I'm handicapped by using just that single dot. So that's another thing that I like about the 9S, and that's another reason it seems so appealing to me. So in conjunction with the greater controllability afforded by the grip of the 9S is the trigger, and I mentioned this trigger in my initial evaluation as being different from the full-size Masada pistol, and it is different. But the more I shoot it, the more that I like it. And between the controllability of the grip and the precision of the trigger, I find that I'm able to shoot the 9S faster with a higher degree of accuracy than I can with other very small handguns. I was out at the range earlier today, and I had just finished up shooting some video that you're going to see next week, and I decided to try some shots from 25 yards at a steel gong. The steel gong at the range that where I was shooting is about 12 inches in diameter, and from that distance of 25 yards, I was just starting in a ready position and coming up and firing controlled pairs on the gong, and I was simply superimposing the dot on the gong and pressing the trigger, and I'll roll in some video so you can see what it looked like. But 8 out of 10 shots found that 12-inch gong from a distance of 25 yards, again firing at that controlled pair shot tempo. And here's what it looked like. So just to reiterate, I don't think I could have done that with another compact pistol, even with an optic installed. It just speaks to the shootability of the 9S, which is one of those things that just has greatly appealed to me when it comes to this pistol. Along with all of that is the fact that the 9S will use CZ75 pattern magazines. So I've got my magazines for my CZ P01, I've got my magazines for my CZ75, and those will all work with the 9S. Last but not least is the value of this handgun. With an MSRP of $450, it doesn't take much looking to find this handgun somewhere down in the $400 range, which is just a solid value in the compact handgun world. Yes, there are some that come in less expensive, but generally you're not going to get the quality or the features that you will with the 9S. So value was probably the last cog on the wheel that caused me to really sort of want one of these handguns. And I'm glad now that I own it. I know some folks don't care for the fact that it doesn't have an equipment rail, but truthfully, I doubt that I would ever mount a light or laser on this type of handgun. That's just not what it's for. On my Springfield Armory Hellcat that I've owned for years, there is an equipment rail, and I've never hung anything on that. For my purposes, for a concealed carry firearm, I just think a light or a laser or what have you is rather superfluous. My biggest complaint with the Masada 9S when I conducted my initial review was when it came to its disassembly, and particularly the fact that you have to remove this pin, and it requires a little bit of finesse to get it out and get it back in. But the more I thought about that, the more I thought it's still easier to disassemble than the average 1911. And when it comes to a concern about losing this particular pin, I've never lost a pin or a slide stop or what have you from a 1911 or a Smith & Wesson semi-auto or anything else that had a removable pin that was part of the slide stop. So I really don't think I'm going to have to worry too much about losing this pin. And the more that I take this apart and put it back together, the easier it becomes. So that concern about the disassembly and reassembly is something I found just not to be all that much of a bother. By the way, folks, that additional footage that I was talking about recording when I was out at the range is going to be coming up in part 2 of this video, which is going to be comparing my new concealed carry handgun, my IWI Masada 9S, to the one that I've been using for several years, that being my Springfield Armory Hellcat. This is going to be a great shootout, and you're not going to want to miss it, so make sure to keep an eye out for that notice when it comes up. It's going to be the Masada Slim versus Hellcat shootout video. So there you go, folks. My new concealed carry firearm is the IWI Masada 9S. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or concerns, as always, make sure you forward those to me. Remember, if you purchase anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it's good for 5% off your purchase from Optics Planet. Also, remember the folks from Hot Munitions. Hot Munitions was instrumental in making sure my wife was able to obtain this handgun. Again, thanks to my lovely wife for a great birthday present. Love you, baby. And again, if you go to Hot Munitions, you can use my discount code there, which is HRFUNK10, and that'll save you 10% off your purchase from Hot Munitions. Last but not least is the Target sponsor for the channel. If you go to Target's online, check out their inventory and see if they have anything that's going to meet your Target needs. See you next time, folks. And until then, good shooting. Bye-bye.